In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how Brez Scales makes over $600,000 per month. That way you can just copy him. My name is Michael. Over the past few years, I've made over $1 million online, and now I help other people start and grow their online businesses. Since Brez is one of the biggest people in the info space right now, I wanted to break down his funnel step by step to make it easier for you to learn from it and hopefully grow your own business. Now, the very first piece of this puzzle is arguably the most important one, and that is getting traffic in the first place. Because if no one knows who you are, if no one knows what you sell, and if no one knows the problem that you solve, then it doesn't really matter how good your coaching is or how dialed in your funnel is. So let's break down exactly how Brez Scales gets traffic and why it works so well. The first thing Brez does really well is he uses short form content as a way to get initial attention. And it might seem like he's just posting whatever, but if you pay attention, all of his short form content leans heavily into three specific areas. First is his age. Showing people that he's making $600K per month at 20 years old is going to instantly grab attention. Most people in their 20s are in college, in debt, or are working a minimum wage job. So when you see a normal looking guy making that much money at his age, it instantly gives him authority with his audience. The second angle he leans into is his lifestyle. So the cars, the trips, his spending, these are all things people aspire to. These are all things people want. And when people see that lifestyle, they naturally want to do whatever it is that he did in order to get it. Remember, when people buy coaching, what they're actually paying for are the results that the coaching is supposed to get them. And this is pretty much what he's showing them. If someone pays a fitness coach, they don't actually care what specific workout ends up getting them in shape. They just want to get in shape. So by showing his lifestyle, Brez is basically showing the results of his coaching. The third angle he shows is bite-sized credibility, which are just quick reels with actual proof. These reels don't explain his whole story, they don't teach, they simply show that he's young, he's successful, he's credible, and he has the proof to back it up. He's not just renting supercars and Airbnbs for the image that he portrays online. Now, the goal of short form is not to educate people, it's not to convince people to buy your product, and even though you can build trust with short form, I would say that building trust isn't even the main goal either. The main goal of short form, or the main goals of short form, is simply grabbing attention, triggering curiosity, and getting people off the platform into a longer form environment. And as we can see, Brez's content does that extremely well. Most of his videos get hundreds of thousands, sometimes even millions of views. Like this one right here, 1.7 million on a single reel. This one got a million plus, and then all these other ones got over 400,000 views. Most creators stop here and wonder why they aren't making 50K per month or 100K per month. They wonder, if they're getting all these views, why aren't they making more money? Well, it's because in order to maximize your conversions, you need to hit three key checkpoints with your viewers. People need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you. These are the three things that are needed to get someone to buy. If people don't know you, like you, and trust you, getting sales is going to be an uphill battle. Sure, yes, you can make sales if people don't check these three boxes, but I promise you it's going to be much more difficult and your actual conversion rate is going to be a lot lower. And while short form content does help people get to know you, it doesn't do the best job at getting them to like you or to trust you. That's why most creators with big followings still make less than 50K per month. It's not because they don't get good views, it's because they aren't nurturing their audience the right way. Something I like to say is views don't equal conversions. This is something that a lot of people don't really understand, even if they've been doing content for several years. Now, here is where Brez separates himself. He uses YouTube to nurture the traffic that comes from his short form. I see so many creators focus way too much on short form simply because that's what gets the most views without having any long form content to actually nurture the audience or nurture the leads that they're getting. If you look at Brez, his YouTube channel isn't nearly as big as his Instagram or his TikTok, but because of the way his funnel is set up, it doesn't really matter that much. What matters is the behavior of the people who actually view him on YouTube. On Instagram, someone sees you for 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds, but on YouTube, someone sees you for 10 minutes, 30 minutes, or sometimes even an hour long. And this is something that he posts pretty frequently with. Like, he's not posting once a month. This is multiple hours of content he's posting every single month. And all this is doing is helping nurture his audience more than the people who are only posting on short form. If you look at Brez's videos, most of them are pretty long. I would say 20 plus minutes is common, but it's not that rare for him to post a video that's over 40 minutes long. And why does that matter? Well, because the longer someone watches your content, the more they begin to like you and the more they begin to trust you, which, as we mentioned earlier, are 2 of the 3 things needed for someone to buy. Remember, they need to know you, like you, and trust you. Otherwise, it's really an uphill battle in order to get a sale. Even if someone binges all of your Instagram reels, or if they watch all of your TikToks, it's almost impossible for them to truly like you and trust you simply because the format that those videos are posted on. Like, there's only so much of a connection that people can build with someone when they only see a 5-second clip of them. When it comes to actually converting an audience, long form content is doing almost all of the heavy lifting, especially for Brez's funnel. It's building trust, it's creating an emotional connection, it's demonstrating expertise, it's showing personality, it's sharing stories, it's breaking objections, and it's making people feel like they actually know him. Like, it's helping people build a connection with the person that they're watching. So even though his YouTube views aren't as big as his short form views, the depth of those views is much more important. And this is why I always say more views doesn't equal more money. Instead, you should worry about the quality of views that you're getting. So if you were to sit down and make a 30-minute long YouTube video and only get 1,000 views, you could easily make more money from that one video than an Instagram reel that got 100,000 views or even 500,000 views. Because short form mostly just builds awareness, but long form is what actually builds buyers. And Brez is someone who understands this perfectly. He uses short form to grab the attention. He pulls people in, he sparks curiosity, he goes viral, and then he uses YouTube as a trust builder. This is where he nurtures the audience and nurtures the attention, and he turns strangers into warm leads for his business. So it's not that one is better than the other. You know, both of these can work on their own, but having a system where these 2 things complement each other is really the ideal situation. All right, so now that we've covered how Brez gets traffic, let's get into what he actually does with that traffic, because traffic alone isn't valuable. It's really what you do with the traffic that's valuable. So you should think of traffic as raw attention and think of leads as filtered attention. Traffic is just people who saw you, but leads are people who actually want something from you. Like, if you have a viral video of you slipping and falling in public and spilling a drink all over yourself, you might get a lot of attention, but you won't get a lot of leads. And this is something that most creators never fully understand. They might get a ton of views and people might follow them, but they don't actually get conversions because they have an audience, but they don't have a pipeline. Brez, on the other hand, converts attention into interest very, very intentionally. So let me show you exactly how he does that. Part of what makes Brez's funnel so good at converting attention into interest is he's very, very targeted on his ICP. Your ICP, or your ideal client profile, is the person that you're looking to convert. Brez's ICP is a college-aged guy who's ambitious, interested in starting his own company, and wants a flashy lifestyle. If you're a 40-year-old female fitness coach that helps moms get into shape, then your ICP is going to be completely different. And the reason this is important is because since Brez knows exactly who his ICP is, he's able to adjust his entire funnel to match it. Because the better you understand the audience, the easier it becomes to write landing pages, write hooks, write VSLs, create lead magnets, make content that connects with your audience, close calls, and create an offer that people actually want to buy. If you look at Brez's funnel, literally everything about his business is custom tailored to his ICP. A mistake I see other people make is not being clear enough on who their ICP is or trying to target two different ICPs at the same time. To bring it back to the fitness example, imagine if you're going to help mothers over the age of 40 lose weight after having their second kid, but you're also going to help an underweight college guy put on muscle so they can pick up more girls. You're not going to get as nearly as targeted with your funnel since your ICP isn't really clear, or since you're targeting two very different ICPs. I know this is a bit of an extreme example here, but I see this all the time where people either don't know their ICP or they have 2 to 3 vague outlines of different ICPs that they want to target. When you're having a hard time closing clients, or clients are hard to deal with, or sometimes your views do well and sometimes they don't, this is often the reason why, and a lot of people just don't realize it. You need to be doing actual market research with your audience to figure out exactly who your ICP is. Like, literally jump into the DMs, hop on calls, look at the comments, and pay attention to the feedback you're getting so you can start figuring out specifically who you want to sell to. This is the biggest difference between people who make $5K to $20K per month and people who make $50K to $100K per month. Since Brez knows exactly who his ICP is, it makes the rest of this process that much smoother. I mean, the reason Brez makes so much money isn't random. It's engineered around a deep understanding of what people want, what's stopping them, what they believe, what they don't believe, who they think they are, and why they think they haven't succeeded already. And Brez uses all of this research in every step of his funnel. He uses it on his landing pages, throughout his VSLs, in his email sequences, in his free training, on the call scripts, in the objection handling framework, in his short form content, in his long form content. Every piece of his funnel tracks back to the same details about his target demographic. Now, here's something that you have to understand if you want your funnel to work. Not all traffic is created equal. Just because you got someone's attention and then you hopefully understood them enough to get their interest, that doesn't mean that they're ready to buy. At this point, people are still in the top of the funnel. The purpose of this section of the funnel is not to sell anything yet. The purpose is to continue to nurture the interested leads that you already have. So if we look at Brez's funnel, how exactly does he do that? Well, it's pretty simple, but it's pretty powerful. And that is his lead magnet, which is pretty much just a free training. The free training acts as a filter for people who aren't interested. It acts as a relationship builder for people who are interested. It acts as a qualification tool for leads, a low pressure way for people to learn about the business that he's teaching, and a way to collect data on the leads so he can nurture them even more. So name, email, phone number. Cold traffic almost always requires a lead magnet before they're willing to watch a VSL or even apply for a call. Brez understands this, so he gives people an easy entry point. Literally, it says, give me 11 minutes and I'll reveal the invisible skill that allowed me to live the glorified internet lifestyle in my 20s. He's giving them a free asset that probably does help his audience, but more importantly, it's also helping him and it's helping out his funnel. Keep in mind, you don't have to use this type of lead magnet specifically, but for him, it works extremely well. And the interesting thing is, he actually only offers this to certain viewers. Since most of the people who come from his short form or his main channel probably don't know that much about the actual business he teaches, one of the main goals of the free training is to educate them a little more on how exactly it works. But if we look at Brez's second channel, where he talks about the business that he does in more detail, he actually doesn't use a lead magnet for those viewers. So if you see right here, it's just a link to go directly to his sales page. And the reason why is pretty simple. On his second channel, he already goes into a lot of detail on the business in the videos that he posts there. So the people who are watching those videos don't need a free training in order to become educated. Instead, he allows them to book a sales call directly since those people are already informed and they already understand the business model. This is why it's important to understand who your target market is and where they're at in your funnel. If all you post is educational content about your niche, then you probably don't need to create some form of free training or ebook on what it is you do because your viewers are already aware. This is the reason that I don't have one, because all of my content is educating people about online business. So if you click on the link to work with me, I assume that you already understand the basics of how online businesses work, since you've already watched my content that explains it. Now, if you do need to nurture your leads more, there's a ton of ways you can do this after they've given you their info. You can use Telegram or WhatsApp. You can use email, retargeting, VSLs, story sequences, or having your setting team reach out to them manually. Realistically, this is where the actual pipeline begins. Once someone sees the lifestyle and they connect with the story and they feel identified with the messaging that you're putting out there, and they show actual interest, so like getting a lead magnet or giving you their information in some form or another, this is where they go from, hey, this guy is interesting, to this guy might actually be able to help me. And once someone hits that stage, they officially become an interested lead, a potential buyer, and a pipeline asset. So for Brez's funnel, let's walk through what happens after someone shows that initial interest, because this is where the system actually begins to separate casual viewers from potential clients. Once they opt in, they don't just get dropped into the free training. Instead, Brez does two things immediately. First, he sends them to a thank you page that has a VSL. Then he sends them to a form to book a call with his sales team. And then they're able to scroll down and see literally dozens of testimonials. The goal of the VSL is really just to educate people a little bit more and inspire them and get them fired up. The form is something that requires them to commit at least a little bit to the process of moving forward. And then the testimonials help sell them before they even speak to anyone from the team. Which, side note, this is something that literally everyone in the info space should be doing. You should be showing as many testimonials as you possibly can, because this is what stacks up the proof that people want to see before they actually buy. Like, I know I only show 3 examples here, but he literally has so many testimonials on his page that you could literally spend hours watching them, which makes it that much easier for him to build authority with the people who are interested. Also, by adding the option to go ahead and book a call, he's giving the higher intent people the chance to go ahead and take the next steps on their own, even if they originally just came for the free training. Now, the second thing that he does, if the person isn't high intent, is within minutes, they still receive a welcome text, an email for framing the training, what to expect with the training, what I like to call a small value nugget, and also an identity-based reminder of why they opted in. So basically reminding them, hey, you are this person, you have this problem, and you have this goal, so let's work on solving it together. Then from this point, every 2 to 5 days, they're going to receive more text and more emails that help deepen the relationship with them, that tell stories, that demonstrate proof. So maybe some more testimonials or some results, some info that might break some common objections they have or some things that might be holding them back. And eventually it's going to move them forward to the VSL and the application. So they're going to end up in the same spot. It's just the people who go here first need a little bit more nurturing and a little bit more convincing before they're ready to actually take those next steps. So it seems like a lot, but it actually is pretty simple. Basically, the free training is given to them if they want it, but it's really just meant to educate them a little bit more and act as an excuse to collect their info so the sales team can follow up if they need to. Keep in mind, the free training is just surface level information that's meant to get the lower intent leads to the same place as the higher intent leads. It's not going to show them everything they need to succeed. It's just showing them the business opportunity, how it works, and why people should pay to learn how to do it. In an ideal world, your clients wouldn't need a free training, but for Brez's situation, it makes sense to have something to help nurture the leads before they book a call, especially given the offer that he's helping people with. Now, whether they do the free training first or book the call directly, once they opt into a sales call, what exactly happens from there? Like, we know they fill out the form, they see the testimonials. What happens next? Well, they go ahead and apply for a call. And almost immediately, someone is going to confirm the call, get a little bit more info, and help encourage the lead to actually show up for the call that they book. Once someone is booked, they're going to start getting texts, email, and manual phone reminders constantly until they actually take the sales call. So this means 3 days before, 24 hours before, 1 hour before, and then 5 minutes before. Yes, this seems like a lot, and truthfully, it kind of is, but you have to realize that people forget, and if you aren't following up like this while leads are still motivated, you can easily miss out on a ton of sales because of it. Once all of this happens, that's pretty much everything you can do to get someone to show up for a sales call. So at this point, either they show up or they don't. Assuming they do show up for the sales call, the sales team is going to go over all of the problems that the lead has, right? It's going to outline all of the benefits of the program. It's going to handle all of the objections and concerns they might have. And then they're going to ideally collect some form of payment on the call. Even if it's not the full amount paid in full upfront, they are going to try to collect some form of payment just to get the person locked in and just to get the ball rolling forward. I don't have access to the systems that they're using on the back end, but I can almost guarantee you that they're tracking all of this information every single day. So this means where the leads came from, whether or not they showed up for the call, whether or not they converted, and if they did convert, then how much they actually ended up paying. Way too many people don't track their info, and then they can't figure out what the bottleneck is in their business, and they wonder why. The reason why Brez is doing over $600,000 per month is because he has these systems dialed in. And if you're a creator or someone with a skill that you're trying to teach people, click the link in the description and I can help you one-on-one. If for whatever reason I can't, my services are completely for free. I help people with everything they need to scale an info business. So your website, your landing page, your funnel, your VSL, copywriting, and even the structure of the offer itself. Basically, everything you need to get to 50K, 75K, or even 100K per month, I can help you with. So if you want to grow your business, click the link in the description, and I'll see you in the next one.